My husband thinks I'm ugly. I've never loved him more. I've always known I'm not conventionally attractive. It's just a fact I've lived with my entire life. Growing up, kids called me names. In high school, I was invisible to boys. In college, I watched my roommates get asked out while I stayed home studying. But when I met Charles 4 years ago at a coffee shop where I spilled latte all over his laptop, he made me feel beautiful for the first time in my life. He never just said I was pretty and left it at that. He'd trace my face with his fingers and tell me I had the kindest eyes he'd ever seen. He'd kiss my forehead and say my smile could light up any room. For 4 years, I actually started believing him. Last Saturday, his college buddies came over for their monthly hangout. These guys had been friends since freshman year, the kind of bond where they could say anything to each other. I was upstairs in the kitchen making my famous buffalo chicken dip and cutting up vegetables when I heard their voices drifting up from the basement rec room. I shouldn't have listened, but I couldn't help myself. At first, it was normal guy talk, work complaints, fantasy football, whose turn it was to pick the next restaurant for their group dinner. Then I heard my name. They were absolutely roasting Charles about me. Dude, seriously her? Arthur laughed, and I could hear the beer bottles clinking. I mean, what happened to your standards, man? Another voice, I think it was Anthony, chimed in. Yeah, she's got a nice personality and all, but come on, she's what we used to call a butterface back in the day. The whole group erupted in laughter that made my stomach drop. Remember when you used to date those sorority girls? Someone else added. What was her name? Amber. Now she was smoking hot. I gripped the kitchen counter, my knuckles turning white. This was my worst nightmare coming true. These were Charles's closest friends, the guys he'd known longest, and they were talking about me like I was some charity case. Then Charles exploded. His voice boomed through the house. Shut the hell up, all of you. Just shut up. The laughter died instantly. Yeah, she's not a supermodel, okay? She's not going to be on the cover of Vogue, but she's the most incredible person I've ever met in my entire life. I could hear the passion in his voice, the anger, the protectiveness. She makes me laugh every single day. When I'm stressed about work, she knows exactly what to say. She stayed up all night with me when my mom was in the hospital, sleeping in those horrible plastic chairs. She believes in me when I don't even believe in myself. His voice started to crack with emotion. When I wanted to quit my job to start my own business, everyone told me I was crazy. Everyone except her. She worked extra shifts to help pay our bills so I could follow my dream. She celebrates my wins like they're her own and picks me up when I fail. The basement had gone completely silent. You idiots are so obsessed with Instagram models and perfect faces that you can't see what actually matters. I'd rather have one real woman who loves me unconditionally than 100 fake ones who don't give a damn about who I am as a person. I heard his chair scrape against the floor as he stood up. If you can't respect my wife, and I mean really respect her, not just tolerate her because she's married to me, then get out of my house right now. Dead silence. Then I heard chairs scraping, mumbled apologies, footsteps on the stairs. The front door opened and closed multiple times until the house was quiet. I stood in the kitchen, tears streaming down my face, but they weren't tears of sadness anymore. They were tears of pure love and gratitude. I found Charles 15 minutes later on the living room couch, head in his hands, shoulders slumped. When he saw me walking down the stairs, his eyes went wide with panic. Did you hear? He started. I was about to respond when I heard my own voice coming from somewhere in the room. Charles's face went white as we both realized what was playing. It was me, from earlier that evening, talking to my sister on the phone before his friends arrived. My voice filled the room with words I'd never wanted him to hear. I know I'm not pretty enough for him. I see how people look at us together. Sometimes I wonder if he's just settling because he feels sorry for me. The recording continued, my deepest insecurities laid bare. Charles stared at the speaker, devastation written across his face. You really think that's why I'm with you? His voice was barely a whisper, but I could hear the hurt cutting through every word. He stood up from the couch, his hands shaking, and I watched as my strong, confident husband looked like someone had just punched him in the gut. Charles, I started, but he wasn't looking at me anymore. He was looking around the room, confused. Wait, he said, his voice suddenly sharp. Where is that coming from? That's when it hit both of us at the same time. My phone was upstairs, charging on my nightstand. I'd plugged it in before I started cooking because the battery was at like 2%. I know I did. I remember seeing the lightning bolt icon before I left it on the dresser. My phone's upstairs, I said slowly, my heart starting to race for a completely different reason now. Charles was already moving, pulling cushions off the couch, looking behind the TV stand. His movements were frantic, desperate. Then he froze. His hand reached behind the couch cushions and pulled out a small black Bluetooth speaker, the kind you can get at Target for $30. The little blue light was blinking, showing it was connected to something. What the hell? Charles turned it over in his hands, his face going from hurt to confused to absolutely furious. In about 3 seconds flat, I felt my stomach drop. That's not ours. I know it's not ours, he said, his jaw clenching. He pressed the button on top and my voice cut off mid-sentence. The sudden silence was deafening. We just stared at each other for a moment. I could see his mind working, putting pieces together the same way mine was. Someone had planted this. Someone had recorded me, or somehow got access to that conversation with my sister, and they'd hidden a speaker in our house to play it back. Check what it's connected to, I said, my voice shaking. Charles pulled out his phone and went into his Bluetooth settings. Nothing. He handed me the speaker and I did the same thing on my phone. Also, nothing. Then I remembered, you can see connection history on some devices. I sat down on the couch, right where that thing had been hidden, and started going through the speaker's pairing history. My hands were trembling so bad I almost dropped it twice. Charles sat next to me, so close our legs were touching, and I could feel the tension radiating off him. There, right there in the connection history. A device name I didn't recognize at first. Anthony's iPhone 13. Anthony, I breathed out, and Charles grabbed the speaker from my hands. What? Let me see. He stared at the screen, his face turning bright red. Anthony. That son of a… Wait, wasn't he the last one to leave? I asked, my memory suddenly crystal clear. He said he needed to use the bathroom before he left. Remember? You were cleaning up beer bottles in the basement and I was still in the kitchen. Charles stood up so fast he nearly knocked over the coffee table. That bastard went to the bathroom upstairs. Not the one in the basement. He went upstairs. My mind was racing. Anthony had been acting weird all night. Now that I thought about it, quieter than usual, kept looking at me with this strange expression I couldn't quite read. And he'd been the one to make that butterface comment that started the whole thing. How did he even get that recording? I asked, more to myself than to Charles. I don't know, but I'm about to find out. Charles was already pulling out his phone, scrolling to Anthony's number. Wait, I said, grabbing his arm. Just wait a second, let me think. Charles looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Think? What's there to think about? That psycho planted a speaker in our house and played a recording of you talking to your sister. A private conversation. He violated our home, our privacy. I know. I cut him off, trying to keep my voice steady even though I was shaking with anger and adrenaline. I know. But if you call him right now, he's just going to deny everything or make up some excuse. We need proof. We need more information. Charles was breathing hard, his chest rising and falling like he'd just run a marathon, but he nodded slowly. Okay, what are you thinking? I looked down at the speaker in my hands, then at my phone. An idea was forming and it was probably crazy, but so was this entire situation. You said he's always been weirdly jealous of our relationship, right? Yeah. Charles sat back down, running his hands through his hair. He made this drunk comment once, like 6 months ago at Arthur's birthday party. Said I could do better and that I was settling down too young. I told him to shut up and we never talked about it again, but yeah, it was weird. What if, I said carefully, screenshots already forming in my head. What if this isn't just about tonight? What if he's been planning this? The look on Charles's face told me he was thinking the same thing. We spent the next 10 minutes taking photos of everything. The speaker, the connection history, timestamps, everything we could document. I even recorded a video showing where we found it hidden behind the couch cushions. Then I did something that I'm still not sure was smart or completely insane. I pulled up Anthony's number on my phone and just stared at it. What are you doing? Charles asked. I'm going to call him, I said, but not to yell. I'm going to tell him we're separating. What? Charles looked at me like I'd actually lost it this time. Just trust me, I said. If he did this, if he planted this to break us up, then he'll show his hand if he thinks it worked. Charles opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. I could see the wheels turning in his head. You think he'll confess or something? Maybe. Or maybe he'll say something that gives us more information. Either way, we need to know what we're dealing with here. My husband looked at me for a long moment, and I saw something shift in his expression. Pride, maybe, or just respect. You're way smarter than me, you know that? I know, I said, managing a weak smile. He picked up on the second ring. Hello? His voice sounded cautious, nervous, even. Anthony, it's me, I said, and I let my voice crack just a little. Not too much, just enough. I need to talk to you. Oh, hey, is everything okay? He was trying to sound concerned, but there was something else there. Something that made my skin crawl. No, I said honestly. Everything's not okay. Charles and we had a really bad fight after you guys left. About what happened. Silence on the other end. Then, what do you mean? He told me what you all said about me. In the basement. I paused, letting that sink in. Charles was watching me intently, his hands balled into fists. I can't do this anymore, Anthony. I can't be with someone whose friends think I'm ugly. It's too hard. Whoa, wait, Anthony said, and I could hear him moving around, like he was getting up or going somewhere private. That's not. I mean, we were just joking around. Guy talk, you know? It didn't sound like joking, I said, my voice cold now. It sounded like you all think Charles is too good for me. No, that's not what I meant. I'm leaving him, I said flatly. I'm going to stay with my sister for a while. We need space. The silence that followed was so long I thought the call had dropped. Then Anthony spoke, and his whole tone had changed. Softer, almost eager. I'm really sorry you're going through this, he said. That must be really hard. Do you want to? I mean, maybe it would help to talk. We could get coffee tomorrow or something, just to talk it out. Sometimes it helps to have a friend who understands. My eyes met Charles's, and I saw the fury burning there. A friend who understands. Right. Yeah, I said, trying to sound grateful and vulnerable at the same time. Yeah, that would be really nice, actually. Tomorrow morning? Absolutely, Anthony said, way too quickly. There's that cafe on Maple Street, the one with the good lattes. 10 o'clock? Perfect, I said. Thank you, Anthony. I really appreciate this. Of course, he said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. It made me want to throw up. That's what friends are for. See you tomorrow. I hung up and immediately felt like I needed a shower. Charles was staring at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Part rage, part disbelief, part something that looked like he was seeing me in a completely new light. Charles couldn't even finish the sentence. My best friend from college just tried to, what? Comfort my wife, who he thinks is leaving me? After he planted a speaker to make that happen? We don't know for sure he planted it yet. I said, even though, yeah, it was pretty damn obvious at this point. But we will tomorrow. I'm coming with you, Charles said immediately. No, you're not, I said firmly. He can't know you're there, but you can listen. I held up my phone. I'll call you before I go in and leave the line open. You'll hear everything. Charles looked like he wanted to argue, but he knew I was right. If he showed up, Anthony would shut down completely. This was the only way to get the truth. I want to kill him, Charles said quietly, and I knew he meant it. Not literally, but I understood the feeling. He was in our house. He violated our privacy. He tried to destroy our marriage. I know, I said, moving closer to him and taking his hands. They were ice cold despite how warm the room was. But we're going to be smart about this. We're going to get proof, and then we're going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person he is. We stayed up most of that night, going over everything. Charles told me more about Anthony's behavior over the past few months. Little things that seemed innocent at the time but now felt sinister. How Anthony had been critical of me in subtle ways. How he'd suggested Charles was changing since we got married, and not in a good way. How he'd tried to plan guy trips that would take Charles away for weeks at a time. He told me last month that married people get boring, Charles said, staring at the ceiling from where we lay in bed, neither of us able to sleep. Said I used to be more fun before I settled down. I thought he was just being a jerk about commitment in general, but now it seems like he was trying to make you doubt us. I finished. Charles rolled over to look at me, his eyes searching my face in the darkness. Did you really mean it? What you said to your sister on that recording? I'd been waiting for this question, dreading it. Sometimes, I admitted quietly. Not always, but sometimes. Yeah, I wonder if you could have done better. Physically, I mean, I know that's stupid. I know you love me, but insecurities don't always listen to logic. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I heard what I said to the guys tonight, in the basement. Did it sound like I was settling to you? No, I said, my voice breaking. It sounded like you meant every word. I did, he said fiercely. I do. And after tomorrow, after we deal with Anthony, we're going to talk about this. Really talk about it. Because I need you to believe what I believe, that you're everything I want and everything I need. I kissed him then, trying to pour 4 years of gratitude and love into it. Whatever Anthony had tried to do, whatever his sick plan was, it had failed. If anything, it had made us stronger. But I still wanted to know why. Why would someone who claimed to be Charles's friend do something this calculated and cruel? What did he have to gain? I guess I'd find out tomorrow. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that Bluetooth speaker, heard my own voice confessing my deepest fears. By the time my alarm went off at 7 a.m., I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. But I got up, showered, put on jeans and a sweater. I wanted to look vulnerable, approachable, like someone who just had her heart broken and needed a shoulder to cry on. Charles was already in the kitchen making coffee, his jaw tight. He'd barely slept either. I could see the dark circles under his eyes. You don't have to do this, he said for the 100th time. We can just confront him together, or call the cops. This is breaking and entering, planting recording devices. And say what? I asked, pouring myself coffee even though my stomach was in knots. We found a speaker that was paired to his phone. He'll say he left it here by accident, that the recording playing was some kind of technical glitch. We need him to admit what he did and why. Charles knew I was right, but that didn't mean he liked it. I'm going to be in the parking lot, he said, in the car. If anything goes wrong, if he tries anything, he won't, I said with more confidence than I felt. He thinks I'm vulnerable right now. He thinks his plan worked. He's not going to do anything to mess that up. At 9:45, I got in my car and drove to the cafe on Maple Street. It was one of those trendy places with exposed brick and overpriced pastries. I found a parking spot near the entrance and called Charles. I'm here, I said, about to go in. Remember, I'm listening to everything, he said. If you need me to come in, just say the word honestly twice in a row. That's the signal. Got it, I said. Then, softer, I love you. I love you too, he said. Now go get this bastard. I put my phone in my purse, making sure it was positioned so the microphone wasn't blocked, and walked into the cafe. Anthony was already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 coffees in front of him. He stood up when he saw me, a concerned expression on his face that made me want to punch him. Hey, he said, pulling out a chair for me. I got you a latte. I remembered you like them with oat milk. Thanks, I said, sitting down and trying to look grateful. That's really thoughtful. He sat across from me, leaning forward with his elbows on the table. So, how are you doing? Really? I took a shaky breath, which wasn't hard because I was actually shaking, just not for the reasons he thought. I'm a mess, I said. Charles and I have been together for 4 years and I've never seen him that angry. After what you guys said, after he defended me, I just can't stop thinking about it. What happened after we left? Anthony asked, his eyes intent on my face. We had this huge fight, I said, sticking as close to the truth as possible. He was upset. I was upset. Things were said, hurtful things. And I just realized that maybe I'm holding him back, you know? Maybe he would be better off with someone more conventional. I mean, Anthony reached across the table and put his hand on mine. I had to force myself not to pull away. His palm was clammy. Don't say that, he said. You're not holding him back. If anything, Charles doesn't appreciate what he has. He never has. There it was, that edge in his voice. I looked up at him, letting my eyes get watery. What do you mean? He leaned back slightly, but didn't let go of my hand. I just mean that Charles has always been kind of oblivious to what's right in front of him. He doesn't always see things clearly. But he defended me, I said. You heard him. He kicked you all out of the house. Sure, in the moment, Anthony said, and his tone was almost dismissive. But that's just Charles being defensive, protecting his choice. It doesn't mean he actually believes all that stuff he said. My blood was boiling, but I kept my face neutral. Sad. You really think so? I know so, Anthony said. And now he was moving his chair closer, our knees almost touching. Look, I've known Charles since we were 18. I've seen him with a lot of girls. And honestly, you're different from anyone he's ever dated. Different bad or different good? I asked quietly, even though I knew exactly what he meant. Just different, he said carefully. Look, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but Charles used to have a very specific type, and you're not it. Which isn't a bad thing, he added quickly. It just means he's trying something new, expanding his horizons or whatever. I wanted to throw my coffee in his face. Expanding his horizons, like I was some kind of experiment. So you think he's settling? I said flatly. Anthony hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. Between you and me? Yeah, I think he is. And I think, deep down, you know that too. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. This was it. This was the opening I needed. How did you know? I asked, making my voice small and broken. He blinked. Know what? That I felt that way. That I thought I wasn't good enough. I looked directly at him. I never told anyone except my sister. On the phone, in private. I watched his face carefully. For just a second, just a flash, I saw panic. Then he smoothed it over with confusion. I don't know what you mean, he said. I'm just reading the situation. It's obvious you have some insecurities about the relationship. Is it obvious? I pressed. Or did you hear me say it? His hand tightened on mine, not affectionate now, controlling. I think you're upset and you're not thinking clearly. I think I'm thinking very clearly, I said, and I let some steel into my voice. I think you somehow heard me talking to my sister. I think you recorded it. And I think you played it back in my living room last night to make Charles think I didn't trust him. Anthony's face went white, then red. That's insane. Why would I? The speaker was paired to your phone, Anthony, I said quietly. We found it. We checked the connection history. Your iPhone 13, the one you're holding right now. He let go of my hand like it had burned him. His eyes darted around the cafe, checking if anyone was listening. We were in the corner, and it was relatively empty. But still, you're upset, he said again. But his voice was shaking now. You're imagining things. Am I? I pulled out my phone and showed him the screenshots I'd taken. Clear as day. His device name, the timestamp showing it had been connected last night at 8:47 p.m., right when that recording had started playing. Anthony stared at the screen, his jaw working. I could see his mind racing, trying to find a way out, an explanation that would make sense. Okay, he finally said, his voice low and angry now, all pretense of concern gone. Okay, yeah, I did it. You want to know why? Please, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Enlighten me, because someone needs to make Charles see reality. Anthony hissed, leaning forward. He's wasting his life with you. He had potential. He had options. And then you came along with your self-deprecating jokes and your neediness, and he just gave up on everything he could have been. I felt like I'd been slapped, but I kept recording, kept my face neutral. So you decided to sabotage our marriage? I decided to give him a wake-up call, Anthony shot back. And honestly, it should have worked. Any sane person would have heard their spouse say they think they're settling and would have started to doubt. But no, Charles is so far gone he's not thinking straight anymore. How long have you been planning this? I asked. He laughed, bitter and cold. Planning? I've been watching him throw his life away for 4 years. I tried to talk to him. I tried to introduce him to other women, better women. Nothing worked. So yeah, I got creative. Creative? I repeated. You call violating our privacy creative? I call it being a good friend, Anthony said, even if he can't see it now. Then he leaned even closer, and I felt my skin crawl. But maybe this is for the best. Maybe he needs to learn this lesson the hard way. And maybe, he put his hand on my knee under the table. Maybe you need someone who actually appreciates you for who you are. Someone who sees you clearly. I jerked my leg away. What are you doing? I'm being honest, Anthony said. Charles is too blind to see what's right in front of him, but I'm not. You deserve better than someone who's settling. You deserve someone who chose you because of who you are, not in spite of it. My brain was short-circuiting. Was he hitting on me? After sabotaging my marriage? After everything he just admitted? Are you serious right now? I asked. Completely, he said, and he actually smiled. I've always thought you were interesting. Smart, funny, not my usual type obviously, but there's something about you. And if Charles is too stupid to see it, maybe I'm the one who should. He didn't get to finish that sentence because suddenly Charles was there, appearing next to our table like he'd materialized out of thin air. His face was purple with rage. You son of a... Charles grabbed Anthony by the front of his shirt and hauled him up out of his chair. Charles! I stood up, grabbing my purse and making sure my phone was still recording. Wait, you've been in love with me? Charles was yelling now, and people were definitely staring. Since college? This whole time you've been sabotaging my relationships because you're obsessed with me? Anthony's face had gone from smug to terrified in about 2 seconds flat. That's not I never said. I heard everything, Charles snarled. The speaker, the manipulation, all of it. And then you tried to hit on my wife? I was just trying to show her that she has options. Charles shoved him back into the chair hard enough that it scraped against the floor. The only thing you're showing is that you're a psychopath. I pulled out my phone, which had been recording audio the whole time, and held it up. Every word. I said to Anthony. We have every word you just said. His face drained of color. You can't. That's not legal. Actually, I said, my voice deadly calm. In this state, only one party needs to consent to a recording. That party would be me. the one having the conversation with you. Anthony looked between us, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. Charles, man, you have to understand. Don't, Charles cut him off. Don't you dare try to explain this. You planted recording devices in my house. You violated my wife's privacy. You've been manipulating me and our entire friend group for God knows how long. And why? Because you what? Have some weird obsession with me? It's not weird, Anthony said desperately. We were close. We used to be close. And then she came along and you changed. You stopped being the person I knew. I grew up, Charles shouted. I fell in love and I grew up, and I'm sorry that you apparently never did. The cafe had gone completely silent now. Everyone was watching. I saw a couple of people with their phones out, recording. Great. This was going to be all over social media by tonight. Charles, I said quietly, putting my hand on his arm. Let's just go. But Charles wasn't done. Arthur, he said, still staring at Anthony. And the other guys. What did you tell them about me? What lies did you spread to make them say those things about my wife? Anthony's silence was answer enough. Oh my God, Charles said, his voice breaking. You told them I complained about her, didn't you? You told them I wanted out but didn't know how to leave. They were worried about you, Anthony said. They needed to know that you were making a mistake. The only mistake I made was trusting you, Charles said. I pulled out my phone again and started typing. Arthur and the others need to know the truth, I said. Right now. Wait, Anthony reached for my phone, but I stepped back. Don't touch me, I said coldly. Then I hit send on the group text, attaching the audio recording and a brief explanation of what had really happened. Within seconds, my phone started blowing up with responses. Arthur, what the fuck did? Jake, Dennis, I'm going to kill him. Mike, we need to talk, now. Anthony's phone started buzzing too. He pulled it out, and I watched the color drain from his face as he read the messages flooding in. They're never going to forgive you for this, Charles said. And neither am I. Charles, please. Anthony stood up, reaching out, but Charles stepped back. We're done, Charles said. We're done, and you're going to leave us alone. Because if you don't, I'm taking this recording to the police and pressing charges for stalking, harassment, and whatever else my lawyer can think of. You wouldn't, Anthony said, but his voice was weak. Try me, Charles said. Then he turned his back on Anthony and held out his hand to me. Come on, let's get out of here. I took his hand and we walked toward the door. Behind us, I heard Anthony call out one more time. You're making a mistake, both of you. I turned back just long enough to see him standing there, alone in the middle of the cafe, with everyone staring at him. His phone was still buzzing nonstop with what I assumed were very angry messages from people who used to be his friends. The only mistake, I said clearly, was ever trusting you. Then we walked out into the bright morning sunlight. Charles was shaking, his hand gripping mine so tight it almost hurt. We made it to his car, which was parked 3 spots down from mine, and as soon as the doors closed, he just broke down. I can't believe it, he kept saying. I can't believe he would do this. Any of this. I held him while he cried angry, frustrated tears. This man who had defended me so fiercely last night was falling apart because his best friend since college had betrayed him in the worst possible way. How long? Charles asked, his voice muffled against my shoulder. How long has he been doing this? How many of my relationships did he destroy before you? I thought about what Anthony had said, about how he'd tried to introduce Charles to other women, about how he'd been watching him throw his life away for 4 years. Amber, I said quietly. What happened with Amber? Your ex from sophomore year? Charles pulled back, wiping his eyes. She accused me of cheating, said Anthony saw me with another girl at a party and told her. But I wasn't cheating. I wasn't even at that party. I was studying for midterms in the library. And she believed him over you? He was my best friend, Charles said. Why would he lie? That's what she said. I figured he must have seen someone who looked like me or got confused or something. But now you know he was sabotaging you even then. I finished. Charles's phone rang. It was Arthur. Charles put it on speaker. Dude, Arthur's voice came through, tight with anger. Tell me the recording is real. It's real, Charles said. All of it. That motherfucker, Arthur spat. He told me you'd been complaining about your wife for months, that you felt trapped, that you needed us to help you see you could do better. I swear to God, Charles, I would never have said those things if I'd known he was lying. I know, Charles said. I believe you. We're meeting at my place in an hour, Arthur said. All of us. Everyone who was at your house last night. Anthony just showed up here and we need to deal with this. I'm on my way, Charles said. Bring your wife, Arthur added. She deserves to hear the apologies in person. We drove to Arthur's house in separate cars, Charles leading the way. By the time we pulled up, there were already 3 other cars in the driveway. Jake's truck, Dennis's sedan, and Mike's SUV, and Anthony's black Audi. He actually showed up, I said as Charles and I met at the curb. Good, Charles said grimly. Let's finish this. We walked into Arthur's house to find all 5 men in the living room. Anthony was sitting on the couch looking absolutely wrecked, his eyes red. The others were standing, arms crossed, faces hard. He's been telling us everything, Arthur said when we walked in. And I mean everything. Anthony looked up and the desperation on his face was almost pathetic. Charles, please. You have to listen. He manipulated all of us. Jake cut in, his voice harsh. For years, he's been playing us against each other, spreading lies, causing drama, all because he's got some weird possessive thing about you. It's not possessive, Anthony said weakly. I just wanted what was best for him. What was best for you mean? Dennis interrupted. You wanted Charles single and available and focused on you. Admit it. Anthony opened his mouth, then closed it. His shoulders slumped. Did you or did you not tell Amber that Charles was cheating on her? Arthur demanded. Silence. Did you or did you not tell that girl Chelsea from junior year that Charles was moving to California and didn't see a future with her when that wasn't true? Jake added. More silence. Did you or did you not actively try to sabotage every relationship Charles has had since college? Mike pressed. I was protecting him, Anthony finally said, but there was no conviction in his voice anymore. From making mistakes, from settling, from being happy, I said, speaking for the first time. Everyone turned to look at me. You were protecting him from being happy with anyone who wasn't you. Anthony flinched like I'd hit him. That's not love, I continued, walking further into the room. That's not friendship. That's obsession and control, and it's sick. You don't understand, Anthony said, looking at me with something like hatred now that the mask had fully dropped. You don't know what it's like to watch someone you care about waste their potential. On someone like me? I finished. Someone not pretty enough? Someone not good enough? Yeah, I heard that part of your little speech this morning. Charles moved to stand next to me, his presence solid and reassuring. But here's what you don't understand, I said. Charles chose me, not because he's settling, not because he feels sorry for me, not because he's being manipulated or confused or going through a phase. He chose me because he loves me, and nothing you do is going to change that. We're done with you, Arthur said to Anthony. All of us. The group chat is gone. The monthly hangouts are canceled. As far as we're concerned, you don't exist anymore. You can't, Anthony started. We can and we are, Jake said. What you did isn't just weird, man. It's criminal. You broke into their house. You planted surveillance equipment. You violated their privacy in the worst possible way. I didn't break in, Anthony protested. The door was unlocked. That's still trespassing, Dennis said. Still illegal. And that's just the start of it. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out and saw a message from an unknown number. Then another, and another. Screenshots started flooding in. Videos. The confrontation at the cafe had gone viral on local social media. People were identifying Anthony, sharing stories about him. I said, holding up my phone. You guys need to see this. We all gathered around as I scrolled through. There were dozens of posts, hundreds of comments, and not just from strangers. One post was from a woman named Jessica. Oh my God, this is the guy who tried to break up me and my boyfriend sophomore year by telling him I was sleeping with his roommate. I wasn't. My boyfriend believed him because they were best friends and we broke up. We almost didn't get back together. Another from someone named Troy. Anthony H? Yeah, he worked at my company for like 6 months. Got fired for accessing coworker emails without permission. Claimed he was looking out for the team. Dude's unhinged. And another from a profile I recognized, my therapist's office building manager. This man rented an office in our building and was caught multiple times loitering outside the therapy offices listening to sessions. We evicted him last month and filed a restraining order request. If you know him, be careful. The room went silent as we read through post after post, comment after comment, a pattern of manipulation, obsession, and boundary violations going back years. Oh my God, Anthony whispered, staring at my phone. This is going everywhere. Good, Charles said coldly. People should know what kind of person you are. My phone rang. I didn't recognize the number but answered anyway. Hello? Hi, is this Mrs. Rivers? This is Janet Kim from the HR department at TechFlow Solutions. We've become aware of some social media posts involving Anthony Hartwick, who is employed here, and we need to discuss some concerns that have been raised. I looked at Anthony, whose face had gone gray. Yes, this is she. We've received multiple reports today about Mr. Hartwick's behavior both in and outside of work. Given the serious nature of these allegations, we're conducting an immediate investigation. We understand he may have violated privacy laws. Is this correct? Yes, I said, putting the phone on speaker so everyone could hear. He planted recording devices in our home and played back a private conversation without consent. We have evidence. I see, Janet said, her voice professionally neutral but clearly concerned. Would you be willing to provide that evidence to our investigation? Absolutely, I said. Wait. Anthony stood up, his hands shaking. You can't do this. This will ruin my career, my life. Should have thought of that before you planted a speaker in my living room, I said flatly. Mr. Hartwick's employment status is under review, Janet continued. We take privacy violations extremely seriously. Thank you for your cooperation. She hung up. Anthony stared at me like I'd just sentenced him to death. My job, he said. You're going to cost me my job. No, Charles said. You cost yourself your job. You did this. All of it. And now you get to deal with the consequences. I was trying to help you. Anthony's voice was rising, getting desperate and manic. I've loved you since we were 18 years old and you never even saw me. Not really. You dated all these girls and I was always just your friend, your buddy, the guy you called when you needed advice but never the one you actually wanted. The room was dead silent. Even the guys who'd known him longest looked shocked. So yeah, Anthony continued, tears streaming down his face now. I sabotaged Amber, and Chelsea, and probably 3 or 4 others I'm forgetting, because they weren't right for you. They were going to hurt you or leave you or waste your time. And then she came along, he pointed at me, and I thought, finally, you'd see that you could do better, that you deserved someone who matched you. But you didn't. You married her anyway, and I couldn't just stand by and watch you throw everything away. Jesus Christ, Jake muttered. This is insane. You need help, Charles said, and he actually sounded sad now. Professional help, Anthony. This isn't normal. This isn't okay. I know, Anthony said, his voice breaking. I know it's not, but I couldn't stop. I've tried to stop. I've tried to be happy for you. But every time I see you with her, every time you talk about how happy you are, it kills me. That's not my problem, Charles said quietly. I'm sorry you're in pain. I'm sorry you're struggling. But that doesn't give you the right to destroy my life, my marriage, my friendships. I know, Anthony said again. He looked around the room at all of us. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so So sorry. Too late, Arthur said. Way too late. Anthony nodded slowly. Then he stood up and walked to the door. He paused with his hand on the handle. For what it's worth, he said, not turning around, you do look happy with her. Happier than I've ever seen you. And I hate it, but maybe that means I was wrong. About what you needed. Then he walked out. We heard his car start up and drive away. No one said anything for a long moment. That was the most fucked up thing I've ever witnessed, Dennis finally said. Agreed, Mike added. Arthur looked at me and Charles. I owe you both a massive apology. We all do. You didn't know, Charles said, but Arthur shook his head. We should have questioned it. When Anthony said you'd been complaining, we should have asked you directly instead of just believing him. We've known you for over a decade, man. We should have known better. The other guys nodded, looking genuinely ashamed. What he told us, Jake said, was that you'd been coming to him for months saying you felt trapped, that you loved your wife but wished she was different, more outgoing, more attractive, that you were having doubts. My chest tightened. That's what they'd been told? No wonder they'd felt comfortable making those comments. I never said any of that, Charles said firmly. Not once. Not ever. I've literally never complained about my wife to anyone because there's nothing to complain about. We know that now, Arthur said, and we're going to spend a long time making it up to both of you, starting with this. You're welcome at every hangout, every dinner, every event, no questions asked. And if anyone ever disrespects her again, we'll handle it. Together. The guys all nodded in agreement. It was something, at least. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from my therapist's office. We've been informed that you may have been a victim of privacy violations by a former tenant in our building. We're so sorry and want to discuss this with you as soon as possible. Your sessions may have been compromised. I showed Charles the text. His jaw clenched. He listened to your therapy sessions, he said slowly. That's how he knew about your insecurities, about what you told your sister. He was listening to you talk about it in therapy. The violation of it hit me all over again. Not just my home, but the one place I was supposed to feel safe to be vulnerable. The one place I could talk about my deepest fears without judgment. I'm going to be sick, I said, and I actually had to sit down. We're suing him, Charles said immediately. I don't care what it costs. We're suing him for everything he's got. I know a lawyer, Arthur offered. A good one. She specializes in privacy violations and harassment cases. I'll give you her number. The rest of the afternoon was a blur. Calls to lawyers, calls to the police to file official reports, calls to my therapist's office to understand the full scope of what had been compromised. By the time we got home that evening, we were both exhausted. Emotionally, physically, mentally drained. Charles collapsed on the couch, the same couch where we'd found that speaker less than 24 hours ago. I keep thinking about all the years, he said quietly. All the friendships that fell apart, all the relationships that ended. How much of it was him? How much of my life did he control without me even knowing? I sat next to him and took his hand. It doesn't matter now. It does though, he said, because I let it happen. I trusted him completely, and he used that trust to manipulate everything around me. You couldn't have known, I said. No one could have. He was your best friend since you were 18. You're supposed to be able to trust your best friend. I trusted the wrong person, Charles said. Then he looked at me. But I married the right one. I leaned against him and we sat there in silence for a while. Outside, the sun was setting, casting orange light through the windows. Do you really believe that? I asked quietly. What you said to the guys in the basement? About me being the most incredible person you've ever met? Every word, Charles said without hesitation. Every single word, even though I'm not. Don't, he interrupted gently. Don't finish that sentence. Because whatever you were going to say, it's wrong. You're not anything. You're everything. To me, you're everything. My phone buzzed. Another message, this time from an unknown number with a long, rambling text from Anthony begging me not to ruin his life, saying he'd get help, saying he was sorry, saying please don't send the recordings to his work. I looked at the message for a long moment, then I blocked the number without responding. What was that? Charles asked. Anthony, I said, begging. What are you going to do? I thought about it, about mercy and justice and consequences, about the years of manipulation, the violated privacy, the deliberate cruelty. I already sent everything to his HR department, I said. They're investigating. Whatever happens now is out of my hands and entirely based on what he chose to do. Charles nodded slowly. Good. We sat there a while longer, watching the sun set through our living room window. Tomorrow we'd deal with lawyers and police reports and therapy sessions about processing this violation. Tomorrow we'd figure out how to move forward. But tonight, we were just two people who loved each other, sitting on a couch, holding hands, and knowing that nothing anyone said or did could change that. I love you, I said. I love you more, Charles replied. Impossible, I said, and he smiled. For the first time in 24 hours, everything felt okay. That night, I couldn't sleep. Charles was out cold next to me, exhausted from everything that had happened, but my mind wouldn't shut off. I kept thinking about Anthony's face in that cafe, the desperation, the delusion, the years of obsession. Around 2 a.m., my phone lit up with a notification. Against my better judgment, I checked it. It was an email from my therapist's office with the subject line, urgent, security breach information. I opened it. Dear valued patient, we are writing to inform you of a serious security breach that occurred over the past 3 months. A former tenant in our building, Anthony Hartwick, gained unauthorized access to our session recording backups through a security flaw in our shared server system. We have confirmed that he accessed recordings from approximately 47 different patients, including yourself. We have terminated our lease with Mr. Hartwick, reported this incident to the proper authorities, and are offering complimentary counseling sessions to help process this violation of privacy. We are deeply sorry and are taking immediate steps to ensure this never happens again. 47 patients. He'd violated the privacy of 47 people. I felt sick. This wasn't just about me and Charles. This was so much bigger. I got out of bed carefully, trying not to wake Charles, and went downstairs. I needed air. I needed to think. I opened the back door and sat on our porch steps, looking up at the stars. How many other people had Anthony manipulated using information he'd stolen from their therapy sessions? How many relationships had he destroyed? How many lives had he derailed? My phone rang. It was 2:17 a.m. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? He's outside my house. It was Arthur, his voice tight with fear. Anthony's outside my house right now, just sitting in his car, staring at my windows. My wife is freaking out and I don't know what to do. Call the police, I said immediately. Right now. I did. They're on their way, but I wanted you to know, in case he goes to your place next. My blood ran cold. I stood up and looked around our quiet street. No unfamiliar cars. No one sitting in the darkness watching our house. How long has he been there? I asked. I don't know. My wife woke up to use the bathroom and saw his car through the window. She recognized it from this afternoon. Arthur, get away from the windows, I said. Get your wife and go to an interior room. Now. I heard movement on his end. We're in the bathroom. Doors locked. Good. Stay there until the police arrive. This is insane, Arthur said, and I could hear the tremor in his voice. I've known him for 15 years and I don't even recognize him anymore. Obsession changes people, makes them capable of things you'd never expect. We stayed on the line until I heard sirens in the background. Then Arthur said, "They're here. Police are pulling up. Anthony's driving away." Shit, he's driving away fast. Did they get his plate? Yeah, they got it. Officers coming to the door now. I gotta go. Call me when it's clear, I said. He hung up. I stood there on my porch, phone in hand, suddenly very aware of how dark and quiet it was, how vulnerable our house was with its big windows and easily accessible doors. I went back inside, locked every door, checked every window, and turned on the outdoor lights. Then I went upstairs and woke Charles. What? What's wrong? He sat up immediately, groggy but alert. Anthony was outside Arthur's house, just sitting there watching. Charles was fully awake now. What? I explained the phone call. Charles got out of bed and started checking the windows from upstairs. I already checked and locked everything, I said. Turned on all the outdoor lights too. We need cameras, Charles said. Like tomorrow. We're getting a full security system installed. Agreed. He came back to bed and pulled me close. This is getting scary. I know. What if he shows up here? Then we call the police and he gets arrested for trespassing, I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. Charles's phone buzzed. Text from Arthur. Police are filing a report. They're going to his apartment to check on him. Officer said given the circumstances, they're taking this seriously. Good, Charles texted back. We tried to sleep, but every sound made us jump. The house settling, the wind, a car driving by. It wasn't until the sun started to come up that I finally drifted off. And even then, I had nightmares about waking up to find Anthony standing in our bedroom, watching us sleep. The next morning, we were both zombies. Charles made coffee while I scrolled through my phone, finding dozens of new messages and emails. One email stood out. It was from the law office Arthur had recommended. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Rivers, we would like to schedule a consultation regarding your case against Anthony Hartwick. Based on the evidence you've described, we believe you have strong grounds for a civil suit including invasion of privacy, harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and potentially wiretapping charges. Please call our office at your earliest convenience. They want to take the case, I said, showing Charles. He read the email over my shoulder. Call them today. But before I could respond, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize, but the area code was local. This is Officer Patricia Morrison with the Riverside Police Department. Am I speaking with Mrs. Rivers? My stomach dropped. Yes, this is she. We attempted a welfare check on Anthony Hartwick at his residence this morning following an incident report filed by Arthur Chen. Mr. Hartwick was not cooperative and became hostile when we attempted to question him about his presence outside Mr. Chen's home. During the interaction, we observed what appeared to be surveillance equipment and photographs in his apartment. We're obtaining a warrant to search the premises. I wanted to inform you because several of the photographs appear to be of you and your husband. I felt the room spin. Photographs of us? Yes, ma'am. Taken at various locations over what appears to be an extended period of time. Some of the equipment appears to be designed for audio surveillance. We're treating this as a potential stalking case. Charles grabbed my arm, steadying me. What do we need to do? We'll need you to come to the station to provide a full statement. Today, if possible, bring any evidence you have related to Mr. Hartwick's behavior, including the recordings from yesterday. We'll be there in an hour, I said. When I hung up, Charles was staring at me. He's been photographing us? For how long? I don't know, I said. But we're finding out. The police station was cold and sterile. Officer Morrison was a woman in her late 40s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She led us to a small interview room and had us go through everything from the beginning. The coffee shop meeting, the speaker in our house, the therapy session recordings, Anthony's confession, all of it. She took notes, asked questions, had us forward all our evidence to her official email. Based on what you're telling me and what we observed in Mr. Hartwick's apartment, I believe we're looking at a pattern of stalking and harassment that's been ongoing for potentially years, she said. The photographs we found include images of you, Mrs. Rivers, at your workplace, at the grocery store, at restaurants. Dates on the files go back at least 18 months. I felt like I couldn't breathe. 18 months? Possibly longer. Our tech team is analyzing the equipment now. She paused. There's something else you should know. We found journals. Detailed entries about your relationship, your schedule, places you go regularly. He's been documenting your lives. Charles stood up so fast his chair fell over. That son of a bitch has been stalking my wife for a year and a half? It appears so, yes. We're building a case for stalking, harassment, illegal surveillance, and we're consulting with the DA about potential wiretapping charges. What about the therapy recordings? I asked. The 47 patients? That's being handled by a separate department, Officer Morrison said. Healthcare privacy violations fall under different jurisdiction. But yes, we're aware and we're coordinating. We spent 3 hours at the police station, going over every detail, every interaction, every red flag we'd missed. By the time we left, I felt hollowed out. I need to call work, I said once we were in the car. I need to tell them what's happening. If he's been photographing me there. They need to know, Charles agreed. They need to have security, keep an eye out. I called my manager and explained the situation. She was horrified and immediately said she'd notify security and HR. Take the rest of the week off, she said. Paid. Deal with this. Stay safe. We'll handle things here. When we got home, there was a car in our driveway, a silver Tesla. For a second, I panicked, but then I saw Arthur getting out. Hey, he said when he saw us. Sorry to just show up. I wanted to check on you guys. After last night and this morning. Come in, Charles said. We sat in the living room and Arthur looked around nervously. This is where you found the speaker? Yeah, I said, behind the couch cushions. I can't stop thinking about him being in your house, Arthur said. Touching your stuff, hiding things. It's violating. The police said he's been stalking us for at least 18 months, I said. Taking photographs, following us around. Arthur's face went white. Jesus Christ. They found journals, Charles added. Detailed logs of our daily routines. He's completely insane, Arthur said. I mean, I knew he was acting weird, but this is criminal psychopath level stuff. The police think they can charge him with multiple felonies, I said. They're building a case. Arthur nodded slowly. Good. He needs to face consequences for this. Real consequences. My phone buzzed. Email from the law office confirming our consultation for tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We're meeting with a lawyer tomorrow, I told them. Civil suit for damages. Sue him for everything, Arthur said fiercely. Seriously. Everything he's got. We talked for another hour. Arthur told us that Jake, Dennis, and Mike all wanted to provide statements to the police about Anthony's manipulative behavior over the years, about the lies he'd told, the relationships he'd sabotaged, the pattern of controlling behavior they were now recognizing. We all feel like idiots, Arthur said, for not seeing it sooner, for believing him over our own judgment. He was good at it, Charles said. That's why it worked. After Arthur left, Charles and I just sat in silence for a while. The house felt different now, violated, like we'd never fully feel safe here again. Maybe we should move, I said quietly. Maybe, Charles agreed. After this is all over, fresh start somewhere. That night, we slept with every light in the house on. The next morning, the lawyer's office was in a sleek high-rise downtown. The lawyer, Patricia Kim, was sharp and efficient. She listened to our story, reviewed our evidence, and nodded thoughtfully. You have an extremely strong case, she said. Invasion of privacy, intentional infliction of emotional distress, stalking, harassment. The therapy session recordings add another layer because that's healthcare privacy violation. We're looking at potentially significant damages. How significant? Charles asked. 6 figures, possibly 7, depending on how much we can prove and how far this goes, Patricia said. The journals and photographs the police found will be crucial evidence. The fact that he's facing criminal charges strengthens your civil case considerably. When can we file? I asked. I can have the paperwork ready by end of week, she said, but I want to wait until the criminal charges are filed. That gives us more ammunition. We agreed and signed the retainer. Walking out of her office, I felt like we were finally fighting back, finally taking control. My phone rang. Officer Morrison. Mrs. Rivers, I wanted to update you. We executed the search warrant on Mr. Hartwick's apartment. What we found is extensive. Over 3,000 photographs, multiple recording devices, GPS tracking equipment, and the journals span back almost 5 years, starting shortly after you and your husband started dating. 5 years. He'd been obsessed for 5 years. We're filing formal charges today, Officer Morrison continued. Stalking, harassment, illegal surveillance, wiretapping, trespassing, and we're still consulting with the DA about additional charges. He'll be arrested within the next 24 hours. Thank you, I managed to say. There's one more thing, she said, and her voice got softer. Some of the journal entries are disturbing. He's written extensively about plans to remove obstacles to his relationship with your husband. We're investigating whether he's acted on any of those plans. My blood ran cold. What kind of plans? I can't give you specifics right now, but we're looking into several incidents. Previous relationships of your husband's that ended suddenly or under suspicious circumstances. We'll keep you updated. When she hung up, I told Charles everything. His face went from pale to red to pale again. He was planning to hurt people, Charles said. To get them out of the way? The police are investigating, I said. We don't know for sure yet, but we both knew. Deep down, we knew Anthony was capable of far more than we'd imagined. That afternoon, my phone exploded with notifications. Anthony had been arrested. Someone had filmed it and posted it online. The video showed him being led out of his apartment building in handcuffs, screaming about how he was innocent, how this was all a misunderstanding, how Charles was making a mistake. The comments section was brutal. People who knew him, worked with him, had dealt with his manipulation over the years, all coming forward with their stories. His company released a statement. We have terminated our relationship relationship with Anthony Hartwick effective immediately following serious allegations of privacy violations and criminal behavior. We are cooperating fully with law enforcement. Then my therapist's office sent another email. Anthony Hartwick has been charged with 47 counts of healthcare privacy violations, in addition to the stalking and harassment charges. Our office is supporting all affected patients, and we are pursuing our own legal action against Mr. Hartwick. It was all falling apart for him. Years of manipulation, obsession, and control crashing down in a matter of days. Charles's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered on speaker. Charles, it's me. Anthony's voice, shaky and desperate. I get one phone call and I'm using it to call you. Please listen to me. How did you get this number? Charles asked coldly. You're supposed to be in custody. I am. They're letting me make a call. Charles, you have to drop the charges. This is destroying my life. My job, my apartment, my reputation, everything. Good, Charles said. You deserve to lose everything. I was trying to protect you. Anthony's voice rose. Everything I did because I care about you. Because I love you. That's not love, Charles said. Love doesn't involve stalking, manipulation, and violating privacy. What you're describing is obsession. It's sick. Charles, please. No, Charles cut him off. You've taken up enough of my time, my life, my energy. You're done. We're done. Don't ever contact me or my wife again. You'll regret this, Anthony said, his voice turning cold. When you finally realize what a mistake you made marrying her, when you see that I was right all along, you'll regret this. The only mistake I made was trusting you, Charles said. Goodbye, Anthony. He hung up. His hands were shaking. He's never going to let this go, I said quietly. Even from jail, he's going to hold on to this delusion. Then he'll hold on to it alone, Charles said, because we're moving forward without him. Over the next week, more information came out. The police investigation revealed that Anthony had been behind the breakup of at least 6 of Charles's previous relationships, using various tactics from spreading false rumors to manufacturing evidence of cheating to, in one case, actually catfishing a girlfriend using a fake dating profile. The woman, Amber, reached out to Charles directly. I'm so sorry, she said over the phone, crying. I believed him when he said you were cheating. He showed me screenshots that I now realize he faked. I broke up with you and you were innocent the whole time. It's not your fault, Charles told her. He was manipulating both of us. Other people started coming forward too. Coworkers who'd noticed him acting strangely, neighbors who'd seen him following people, a gym employee who remembered him asking weird questions about members' schedules. The case against him grew stronger every day. Our lawyer was ecstatic. With all this evidence, we're looking at a significant settlement or judgment, Patricia told us. His assets aren't huge, but between his savings, his car, and potentially a lien on any future earnings, you're looking at real compensation. I don't even care about the money, I admitted. I just want him to face consequences. He will, Patricia assured me. Between the criminal charges and the civil suit, his life as he knew it is over. The preliminary hearing was set for 3 weeks out. Until then, we tried to return to normal life. I went back to work. Charles focused on his business. We installed a comprehensive security system with cameras covering every angle of our house. But normal felt different now. I caught myself checking over my shoulder constantly, jumping at unexpected sounds, having nightmares about waking up to find Anthony standing over our bed. Charles noticed. We should talk to someone, he said one night. Both of us. A therapist. To process all this. After what happened with my last therapist? I asked bitterly. A new one, he said, with better security, and we'll research them thoroughly first. But we can't just pretend this didn't affect us. He was right. We started seeing a trauma counselor who specialized in stalking victims. It helped. Slowly, the hearing came. We sat in the courtroom and watched Anthony shuffle in wearing an orange jumpsuit, handcuffed, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 3 weeks. He looked at us once. Just once. And the hatred in his eyes was chilling. The judge denied bail. Too much evidence of stalking, too high a flight risk, too dangerous to the community. Anthony would stay in custody until trial. Our lawyer filed the civil suit the same day. We were suing for $2.5 million in damages. He'll never be able to pay that, Charles said. Maybe not, Patricia agreed, but it sends a message. And if he has any assets at all, we'll get them. Life slowly started to piece back together. Weeks turned into months. The criminal trial was set for 6 months out. In the meantime, we focused on healing. We took a vacation, just the 2 of us, to a beach town 3 states away where no one knew us and we could just exist without looking over our shoulders. I'm sorry, Charles said one night as we walked along the beach, for bringing him into our lives, for not seeing what he was sooner. You couldn't have known, I said. No one could have. I should have protected you better. You did protect me, I said, stopping to face him. When it mattered, when I needed you most, you chose me. You defended me. You stood by me. That's all I ever needed. He pulled me close and we stood there as the sun set over the ocean, just holding each other. When we got back home, there was a letter waiting, from Anthony. Somehow he'd managed to send it despite the no-contact order. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity won. The letter was 4 pages, handwritten, rambling. It started with apologies but quickly devolved into justifications and delusions. You don't understand what we had, Charles. Before her, we were brothers. We were meant to be in each other's lives forever. She ruined that. She took you away from me. I was trying to save you, to show you the truth, to bring you back to who you really are. I know you're angry now, but someday you'll understand. Someday you'll see that I was right. It went on and on. I didn't finish reading it. Neither did Charles. We gave it to our lawyer and she forwarded it to the police. He violated the no-contact order, she said. This will only strengthen our case. The trial, when it finally came, was surreal. Sitting in a courtroom listening to forensic experts testify about the extent of Anthony's surveillance, hearing psychiatric experts diagnose him with obsessive love disorder and narcissistic personality disorder, watching as evidence was presented, the photographs, the journals, the recordings, all of it. Anthony's lawyer tried to argue that it was all a misunderstanding, that Anthony had mental health issues and needed treatment, not prison, that his intentions were good even if his methods were wrong. The jury didn't buy it. They deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Anthony's face crumpled when the verdict was read. He looked at Charles one more time and mouthed something that looked like, "I'm sorry." Charles looked away. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. 8 years in prison. Mandatory psychiatric treatment. Permanent restraining order upon release. The civil suit settled out of court. Anthony's family, desperate to avoid a public trial, paid $800,000 from his trust fund. We donated half of it to organizations supporting stalking victims and used the rest to move to a new house in a new neighborhood where no one knew our story. The new house felt lighter, safer, like we could finally breathe. "Do you think he'll ever really understand what he did wrong?" I asked Charles one night as we unpacked boxes in our new living room. "No," Charles said honestly. "I think in his mind, he'll always be the victim, the misunderstood friend who was just trying to help." "That's sad," I said. "It is," Charles agreed. "But it's not our problem anymore." He was right. Anthony was locked away, facing the consequences of his actions. We were free. Finally, truly free. That night, we christened our new house with a bottle of champagne and a promise to each other. No more looking back. No more letting his obsession define our story. We were writing a new chapter now, just the two of us. And it was going to be beautiful. 3 months into living in our new house, I got a call from Officer Morrison. "Mrs. Rivers, I wanted to let you know that we've uncovered something disturbing in our continued investigation of Anthony Hartwick." My stomach dropped. "What now?" "We found evidence that he'd been planning to escalate. The journals we seized included detailed plans about sabotaging your car, contaminating your food supply, even potentially breaking in while you slept to convince you to leave your husband." I sat down hard. "He was going to hurt me?" "It appears so. We found the beginning stages of execution too. A set of lockpicks that match your old house's locks. Receipts for chemicals that could have been used in various harmful ways, if we hadn't arrested him when we did." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. "The DA wants to add additional charges. Conspiracy to commit assault, attempted breaking and entering, and we're building a case for attempted murder based on some of the substances he purchased." "How much more time could that add?" I asked. "Another 10 to 15 years, potentially. We'll keep you informed." When I told Charles, he went completely silent. Then he punched the wall. Then he broke down crying. "I almost lost you," he kept saying. "I almost lost you, and I didn't even know it." "But you didn't," I said, holding him. "I'm here. I'm safe. He's locked up, and he's never getting out." The new charges were filed. The new trial was quick. The evidence was overwhelming. Anthony got an additional 12 years added to his sentence. 20 years total. He'd be almost 50 when he got out. And honestly, I hoped he'd use that time to get the help he so desperately needed. We got a dog, a big German Shepherd named Atlas. He made us feel safer and gave us something positive to focus on. Charles's business took off. Without the constant sabotage from Anthony, his friendships flourished again. Arthur, Jake, Dennis, and Mike became regular fixtures in our lives, bringing their wives and girlfriends, having dinners and game nights and real, honest friendships. My therapy helped me work through the trauma of being stalked. I started sleeping better, stopped looking over my shoulder quite so much, started to feel like myself again. 1 year after Anthony's arrest, on our 5th wedding anniversary, Charles and I went back to that coffee shop where we first met, where I'd spilled latte all over his laptop. We sat at the same table, ordered the same drinks. "Do you ever wonder what life would have been like if you hadn't spilled that coffee?" Charles asked. "Sometimes," I admitted, "but I'm glad I did." "Me too," he said, taking my hand. "Best accident of my life." We sat there for a long time, just talking and laughing and being together. No fear, no looking over our shoulders, no one manipulating or controlling or trying to tear us apart. Just us, the way it was always meant to be. Later that night, back at our safe, secure new home with Atlas sleeping at the foot of our bed and the security system armed, Charles pulled me close. "I love you," he said. "Not in spite of anything, not because of anything, just because you're you. And that's more than enough. It's everything." And for the first time in my entire life, I believed it. 6 months later, we were settling into a comfortable routine when my phone rang. It was Patricia, our lawyer. "I wanted to give you a heads up," she said. "Anthony filed an appeal. He's claiming ineffective counsel and trying to get his sentence reduced." My heart sank. "Can he do that?" "He can try," Patricia said. "But given the overwhelming evidence and the fact that he violated the no-contact order multiple times even from jail, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. The appellate court rarely overturns cases like this." "So we just wait?" I asked. "We wait," she confirmed. "I'll keep you posted." I told Charles. He took it better than I expected. "Let him appeal," he said. "Let him waste what little money he has left on lawyers. It won't change anything. He's guilty, and everyone knows it." The appeal was denied 3 months later. Anthony would serve his full sentence. That same week, I found out I was pregnant. We hadn't been trying, but we weren't not trying either. And when I saw those 2 pink lines, I felt a surge of joy so pure it brought me to tears. "We're having a baby," I told Charles, showing him the test. His face went through about 100 emotions in 5 seconds. Shock, disbelief, wonder, and then pure, radiant happiness. "We're having a baby," he repeated, and then he picked me up and spun me around laughing. For a moment, just a brief moment, I thought about Anthony, about how he'd tried so hard to destroy this, to prevent this exact future from happening, and he'd failed, completely and utterly failed. Our baby girl was born 9 months later. We named her Hope because that's what she represented. Hope for the future, hope that love wins, hope that good people can overcome evil. Arthur and the guys threw us a massive baby shower. Our new neighbors, who knew nothing about our past, became close friends. My sister, who I'd been talking to that night on the phone when Anthony recorded me, flew in to help with the baby. Life was full and rich and beautiful. When Hope was 6 months old, we got a letter from the prison. Anthony wanted to write to us, to apologize, to ask for forgiveness. The prison needed our consent to deliver it. Charles and I talked about it for a long time. Do you want to hear what he has to say? I asked. No, Charles said. I really don't. He had years to be a real friend, years to be happy for me. He made his choices, and now he gets to live with them. I agree, I said. We denied the request. We didn't need his apology. We didn't need closure from him. We had closure. We had peace. We had hope, literally and figuratively. And that was more than enough. Make sure to click on the screen to watch other stories.